We're going to have a quick chat with Dave, who recently attended the Great British Koi Show. He is going to quickly run us through the whole experience from an exhibitor's perspective. So sit back, relax and enjoy the video.
The quality of fish, the level, the standards at the Great British Koi Show, I think, are just
So firstly, Dave, tell us, were you nervous at all?
Was I nervous? Yeah. Flipping right, I was nervous. I think last time I took the fish out of the pond, they were about 50, 60 centimetres. This time they were 75. So yeah, you spend all that time looking after them. And then take them out of the pond to take them to a koi show. There's all sorts that can go wrong. So yeah, it is nerve-wracking. I didn't sleep the night before on the Thursday. Well, barely slept at all, which meant come Friday morning when I had to net them all up, I was absolutely knackered. I was fortunate enough to have good friends come around, Aaron and Leo from Humber Koi. They offered to come around on the Friday to help me get the fish out the pond and get them netted into the vat in the back of the van. So yeah, massive shout out to them for their help. I don't think I could have done it without them. I was a nervous wreck when they got here. If you're ever speaking to them, they'll tell you. It was not a good morning for me.
But you managed to overcome your nerves and decided to take them. What was that like? I mean, how do you transport fish this size to a koi show?
A lot of people take them in bags, bag the fish up. I wasn't really interested in doing that. I got a transport vat that we have filled with water in the back of my van, and put the fish in there and zipped it up and transported them up the road. I had a battery pack powering an air pump to keep air in the vat while we transported them, and I was only usually it's be a 35-40 minute journey from my house to the Great British Koi Show, but on that morning it took us over an hour because I was driving at sort of 50 mile an hour up the motorway with the fish in the vat in the back. And yeah, I don't think I was that nervous when I drove my daughters home from the hospital after they were born, but any noise, any splash, anything in the back of the van just makes your heart go, really, to be honest. And it was a nerve-wracking experience for sure. But one I was glad I did, definitely glad I went.
Is there any sort of limit to the number of koi you can take or enter?
No, there's not a limit per se to the number of koi that you can take. There is a limit to the volume of koi, if that makes sense. Each koi in the show has a size category, and each fish in those categories gets a certain amount of points, and you're only allowed 51 points, I think, in each vat. So we took 6 fish to the show. I think our smallest was 60 centimetres and the largest was 75, 76 cm. So yeah, if you can take a boatload of small fish or very few large fish, is the way it kind of works, to be honest.
Right, let's go back to the beginning. Before the show, did you do any preparation, or is there anything you did differently leading up to the event?
Well, yeah, that's actually quite tough in the UK because the koi shows are right in the middle of the height of summer, and that's usually a feeding or growing period for the fish. So prior to the koi show, I took them off the colour food and the growth food and put them on a more of a wheat germ based diet. I used the Saki Hikari Pure White mixed in with my Hikari M20 sinking. I started that sort of, I don't know, six weeks before the show. I started that feeding regime, and obviously this pond I keep at 23 degrees, 23, 24 during the summer. So I had to slowly chill that down to 18 degrees. I reckon 18 degrees is a conditioning temperature, and also the vats at the show are around 18 degrees. I think on the day when we turned up they were 17.5 that morning. So in order to try and reduce the shock and the stress, I reduced the pond, I chilled the pond down to 18 degrees prior. Other than that, you know, just sticking with me Koi Master's Advantage as a water conditioner, which is good for the skin. And yeah, that was pretty much it. So basically I was quite fortunate. I was in vat number 11, and directly opposite my vat there was a door, and I was able to park my van there and get the koi in a sock net, which is a net used for transporting koi. I was able to scoop them up in my vat and pretty much walk them straight into the show vat. So from the van straight into the vat, which is why balancing the temperature is a bit more crucial for me, because without bagging the fish I didn't have the ability to float them and stabilize them, so they had to go straight in that vat from the water I had them in the back of the van. Once all the fish are in, then the show team come along and bench them, and that's a process where they'll get you fish, they'll measure it, take a photograph of it, and they'll put it in a size and class category like Sankey, Showa, Kawari Mono, which is a class that covers everything else. It doesn't have a class of its own, just to make it a fair sort of competition, like, you know what I mean? Because you can't have a fish that's sort of 20 centimeters competing against a fish that's 90 centimeters, because there's just no comparison. The work and effort involved in raising a koi to 90 centimeters and keeping it in show condition is absolutely phenomenal. Whereas, you know, anyone can buy a 20 centimeter koi that looks great and take it to the show. So that's why they put everything in a class, and everything's sort of benched, just to make the competition a bit fairer and even, really.
And I suspect the team on hand are more than capable of handling these fish, as I hear some of them can cost thousands of pounds, am I right?
Yeah, well, that goes without saying. The team from the Great British Koi Club are absolutely phenomenal. They're all avid fish keepers themselves, and they're well versed in the handling of koi, to be honest. The benching went great, the imaging went great, and yeah, you're right, you know, some of the fish do cost absolute thousands. I absolutely commend some of the people that take their fish there. You know, my biggest was 75, 76, and you know, there was fish there in the 90s, absolute units, like colossal fish. And I'd absolutely commend anybody that bags koi of that size up to transport them to the koi show, just to give the public something to look at on the day. Hats off to those guys. Yeah, some seriously big fish at that show, and some seriously expensive ones too. I mean, I feel, in my opinion, that the Great British Koi Show has the best competition in all the shows in the UK. I think that the quality of fish, the level of standards at the Great British Koi Show, I think, are just better. So yeah, massive hat off to the boys that took the big units, and hat off to everyone, really. It's a relative risk for everyone.
Wow, that must be a scary situation, transporting a koi that has cost that sort of money.
Yeah, it certainly is a scary situation, transporting a koi that's cost thousands, but to be honest, like I was saying, the way I see it, I think it's relative. If someone spends £20,000 on a koi fish, they can obviously afford to lose £20,000, or if someone spends £1,000 on a koi fish, you know, maybe that's all that they could afford to lose is £1,000. So to me, it's relative. You know, that £1,000 expense means as much to that person as a £20,000 expense might mean to the other. So, you know, they're all living things that we're dealing with at the end of the day, and I just think the cost is relative. It's the same risk for everyone, regardless of the price of the fish. You know, these these fish are people's pride and joys.
Right then, I guess we are all anxious to know, how did you do?
Yeah, we did all right. I mean, I took 6 fish and I got a first, 3 seconds and a third. Didn't get any majors this time. I did get a third in size overall for a sockeye sankey that I had. But yeah, you know, I was happy with what we did.
I have read a lot about the judging at koi shows in the UK recently. Some good, some not so good.
Yeah, I mean, I've read a lot about the judging at the koi shows in the UK recently too. There's been a lot of scrutiny and a lot of back and forth by a lot of people, and some of it I do agree with. I have seen some things recently that I've thought, what the hell? But honestly, at the Great British Koi Show under Alan Tate and his team, I think they did a fantastic job. There's not a choice of fish that I wouldn't have agreed with. I think they did a cracking job. I think they got it right. The sankey that won Grand Champion, I think, was reserve champion at the National Koi Show, and it was up against another kohaku at the Great British, and I think the sankey took it. The sankey was absolutely stunning. Not just because I'm a sankey man myself, but I do think that the sankey on the day that took GC was a phenomenal fish. So congratulations to the owner of that. I think the mature champion then that beat our sankey was, yeah, it was a cracking fish. As I've got some photographs of it that'll pop up and that I can send to you. Yeah, absolutely no gripes with the judging from me. Definitely not.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for taking the time to share your experience with us. I want to wish you best of luck in any future shows you may be attending.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Anytime.